and welcome to the AstroEnergyAstrology Show podcast with Astrologer Shelley Overton. Hi, this is Shelley. If you would like to learn more about astrology, check out Learn Astrology, an ebook digital download online at angeliczodiac.com.
Hi, and welcome to the July 22nd, 2021 edition of the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with me, your astrologer, Shelley Overton. I would like to welcome you, and I'm excited to get into today's astrology. We've got some interesting stuff coming up, and let's just get going. So right now, I've got the chart. It shows 11 degrees Sagittarius rising. Again, if you're new to astrology, the rising sign comes around every 2 hours. It shifts. So there are 12 houses. Each house represents an area of our lives, and 24 hours in a day, hence 2 hours per sign. So right now we have 12 degrees Sagittarius on the horizon here in Orlando, but it could be anything depending on when you watch this. So we're not going to really get into the specifics of that particular rising sign for this reading, but we will go into where the planets are. And currently the planets and lights, I should say, the moon and the sun are lights. So the moon is at 13 Capricorn, 13 degrees of Capricorn, right in the middle of the sign, really digging in, wanting to feel comfortable, safe. We're more emotionally bonded with the material world than we normally are, unless it's an earth sign. As you can hear, I still have a bit of throat stuff going on. Excuse me, I'm swallowing, and that's what look kind of strange. I'm trying not to make a lot of extra noise when I swallow, but it's a little bit more difficult this week, unfortunately. Guess I'm going to just have to wait for my throat to heal for a few months. It's probably going to be a little bit longer than I thought. Anyway, so we've got the moon in Capricorn, and so for the next day and a half, we will feel the strong energy of the authority energy, or feeling more safe around structure and Saturnian energy. So it's about government, it's about authority, father figures, paternalism, patriarchy, anything you assign to kind of that old established energy. And then I've got two cats just coming by my window. I know they're probably getting hungry, but hopefully I can get this all out before they really start to bother this podcast. And we also have Pluto in Capricorn. So Pluto is probably the most intense energy of the zodiac to be able to dig. Well, as far as the common modern planets, of course, he's demoted to a dwarf planet now. I was reading up a little bit more about what exactly happened with that. And in 2006, August 24th, 2006, there was a debate over whether or not to drop Pluto as a planet in our solar system. And then in the final moments of the meeting of the astronomers, I think it's a consortium, and so they just passed without a lot of the members being there, passed a resolution saying that Pluto was demoted. And at the same time, they gave Eris, E-R-I-S, the asteroid, raise or promotion to dwarf planet as well. She was an asteroid. So they both kind of became similar in size, in common thought. But since that time, we have actually done a flyby of Pluto, and we've been able to look at Eris, and Eris is actually smaller than Pluto, but yet Pluto remains demoted, and not by astrologers by any means. As an astrologer, Pluto is closer to us than Eris, but Pluto is a profound energy in our world. He acts as a very large explosion in our world at times, and he can really shift the way we look at our lives, shift things that happen to us. And so he is a very potent energy in astrology. And Eris is, again, a dwarf planet. She's so slow moving. It takes her 500 years to go through the zodiac. So in the course of my lifetime, she's only moved about 9 degrees in Aries. So she's in Aries and really bringing forth the energy of women in the idea of a fighter, of a warrior. And so currently, I think she's right around 23 degrees, almost to 24, but at 23. My daughter was born in 2001, and she was at 10 degrees then, or 19, excuse me, 19 degrees. And when I was born in the 60s, she was at 10. Very, very slow moving, 14 degrees since I was born. So, we're going through the Aries time with Eris. And that just brings out, like I said, feminine warriors. And anyway, I'm not doing a reading with her in the chart per se, but currently we do have Pluto at Capricorn, 25 degrees, 26 minutes retrograde. And that puts him in a position of opposition to the sun. He just was in opposition exact to the sun, but now the sun today moved into Leo. So right now the sun is at 0 degrees, 15 Leo. And the opposition from Pluto to the sun really challenges the sense of security that Cancerians can feel. If you have planets at late Cancer, which I do, I have Mars at 27 Cancer, you can feel like an internal battle or an external battle with someone iconically representing one or the other of these two signs. So Pluto can be a very passionate person. Maybe you ran into someone who is very black and white in their thinking, or very passionate in their thinking, rallies for the underdog, or potentially is very covert, who suddenly brings out something that is really devastating or life-altering. If you're the Cancer side, you could feel like you're being challenged, like you're being attacked, or very defensive. So that energy just passed, and now Mercury is at 19 Cancer, coming up on an opposition to Pluto. So we're starting to feel the energy of Mercury. And Mercury in Cancer means that we're kind of clouded in our thinking, that we're not as clear-cut, that we're going to be swayed a bit more by home and family and female mother type figures. We're going to be swayed because we want to really hole up in our comfortable home environment. I have my daughter's in a dorm right now, and she had a roommate who has been kind of the Pluto rule in that opposition, and she was causing noise and causing upheaval because she had another person in the dorm with them, and it made my daughter uncomfortable. But then now that situation's passed, that roommate has taken off for the weekend and taken the other person with her, and so they're gone, and now it's kind of relieved, so to speak. It's relaxed the energy. And currently, there is an opposition approaching of the sun now in Leo to Saturn in Aquarius. So Saturn's at 10 degrees of Aquarius, and we're feeling that approaching opposition to the father figure, to the need for freedom. Maybe now the sun in Leo, we want attention. I have someone that I talked to recently for a reading who is saying, yeah, I never want attention, and I've just really wanted a lot more attention lately. And I'm like, yeah, because Venus and Mars were both in late Leo. It really makes us more aware of our need to be in the spotlight, to have a sense of authority, to have a sense of attention from others, and to really relate to other people. So now we have Venus in Virgo at 1 degree, so both the sun and Venus have changed signs. And like I said, sun in Leo, now Venus in Virgo, with Mars not far behind. I think it's about a week away, right next Thursday. Yeah, Mars goes into Virgo next Thursday. And that's the 29th. But currently, with Mars in Leo late degrees, there is this need to tell tales or do whatever you can to get attention. So you're kind of, putting out things that are more dramatic, more like an actor on stage creating this incredible story we're really giving it all we have. Like I've said in the past, when the planets get to the late degrees, they really give it all they have to push in as the last gasp of the sign that they're about to exit. So that being said, of course, also Pluto being at n degrees, Pluto only has 5 degrees currently. He will retrograde to about 24, possibly up to 23, but he is continuing forward throughout the next 2 years towards the last degree of Pluto in Capricorn. And so he is going to be giving it all he can to really drive home the point of concretizing or stabilizing or rooting in ideas and behaviors before he moves into the next sign, which will probably undo a lot of that, the systems that Capricorn has put in place, because Aquarius does not like restriction, does not like structures, and does not like authority. And so when Pluto moves into Aquarius in 2023 for the first time, and then he goes back to Capricorn for a brief period before he finalizes his trip in Aquarius, he is going to really give us a run for our money when it comes to rooting in. I mean, we're already seeing a tremendous amount of right-wing politicizing the voting process. They already have done a lot of stuff with other types of agendas to make it more difficult to break out of those old ideas. And that's really what Capricorn rules, is the traditional idea, the conservative idea, and not wanting to move on to the unusual or the new or eccentric, which is exactly what Aquarius is. That being said, the moon will be joining up with Pluto just before she goes into Aquarius, and she gets into a full position on the 23rd, which is Friday, at 10:37 p.m. Eastern, 7:37 Pacific. And so what does this mean? It means the moon, the indicator of a storyline, is culminating an expression, growing to a finalization of a storyline just after the end degrees of Capricorn. So we will see some storyline along the Capricorn agenda wrapping up, but we will also see something new that may be early Aquarius shift and change. For those of you, anybody who listens to my podcast knows, I have a sun with a 1 degree Aquarius rising. So to say I'm a little concerned, it's accurate. You know, when you have hits to that 1 degree Aquarius in your chart, especially with a full moon, it means that there is a shift of emotional indicator that something has changed and something is different, and an old story that you told yourself has changed. And a lot of it is the old story about what was rooted in, what was traditional, what was secure and stable and not budging, but that now has changed. And so it is going to change. And the interesting thing that I found coming up is we have 2 full moons within a month in Aquarius. And this moon starts out the sign of Aquarius, and August's full moon ends at, 29 degrees of Aquarius. So 2 full moons in a month with a middle 2 weeks where the moon is at 15 degrees of Leo on the new moon. So this is a very strong axis that we are expressing energy through. And the sun is really like the center of our solar system. It is our ego. It is our sense of reality in the human form. For every day, the sun gives us a new day. Every year, we celebrate a new birthday on the return of the sun in the sky of the Earth. So from Earth's perspective, we see the sun in the same part of the sky once a year. So when we have our birthday, it is our solar return. And so the sun in and of itself is a tremendous force in our lives. It can make us happy or sad depending on whether or not the light shines on Earth. It can affect our electronics based on solar flares and the Schumann resonance, which is an energetic burst of energy that comes towards Earth. It is an enormous center of our identity, which translates to ego, because the ego attaches to the physical form when we come into this planet as a new human being, and that's where astrology begins. So I'm kind of just free form here. So when that happens, it means I get information as I talk, I channel information. And so I'm just going to talk about what I'm getting, and that means that information comes in. And when we are born, that sets up the birth chart. And so when I do readings, if I don't know the time of birth, I use a solar, like a sunrise chart, because that's a really strong indicator also of energy and influence in your natal chart. And so I find it quite accurate, honestly, even if I don't have the actual time of birth. We do have a strong influence of having the sun come up on the day we were born. And so, yeah, if you're not aware of your time of birth or don't have access to it, just do a sunrise chart for the day you were born, and that will have a strong influence on your reading, and you'll be able to see a lot from that until you can get your birth time, if you are able to get your birth time. But having the sun opposite the moon usually is assigned to women, to emotion, to home, family, and the sun, in my experience over 40 plus years of reading charts, I assign the sun to the dad or the father figure. There are multiple indicators of fathers and mothers in the zodiac. It can be Venus for women. It's the home and family house, which is ruled by Cancer, and the sun, Cancer and the moon. And then the sun is father. So we really have that kind of ego identity attached to the sun, and we can, have that shining light that influences us through the father figure. But when the sun is opposite the moon, we have the polarity. So there's going to be men versus women, father and mother, and opposition energy. But it's also a culmination energy, because the moon cycle reaches its pinnacle and its peak in the opposition to the sun. So we see it shining its brightest. And so the moon, representative of women and home, is saying, okay, I'm full and I'm here and I'm highly reflective of the ego, and I'm the emotional mirror of the ego. And at 1 degree Aquarius is the sign of adoption, the sign of detachment from family and children when we see it influencing the moon. But also, if you think about Aquarius, Leo sun right now is opposite the Aquarian energy. And so Leo wants to connect and relate. It is the sign of children. Aquarius is the opposite of that. So a lot of people who have strong planets or planetary positions or house signs with Aquarius don't particularly want children, don't really resonate to the energy of children. They never really think that that's part of what they want in their lifetime, or they may adopt. It is unusual or eccentric circumstances. So I've seen people who are adopted under Aquarius. As an example, since I've already used my son was born with the Aquarian moon at 1, and it was on the horizon. He has a 1 degree Aquarius rising, 1 degree Neptune, 1 degree moon full on the day he was born, which is really amazing to me. It's an extremely charged chart for him. And I also have a client with that same energy at the midheaven. So and I know that chart is going to just explode in the next couple of years with Pluto hitting that degree. So it's really an amazing, intense energy coming in for that 1 degree of Aquarius. It shifts us out of the stability and the ability to root in and ground and feel channeled energy going into the earth and not be upset or in upheaval. And so what happens is we have that moon go into that degree, and now our house and our stability, our home, our family, mothers, anything that we see around us in our environment can be the theme and subject of the upcoming month-long Aquarian transit. And I only mean, of course, the moon is going to be there for only 2.5 days, but revisits this energy again on the 27th, and then completes it on the 29th, when the moon moves out of Aquarius at 29, full and complete, and moves into Pisces. So it's really, I've got so many chills right now, because currently Jupiter's at 0 degrees Pisces. So that means that the energy of this next full moon coming up in a month is going to be touching on Jupiter right before it goes in, because Jupiter, I think Jupiter goes back, oh, it may not, excuse me, I think it's September that Jupiter actually makes it back, like the middle of September. I think it goes back in. I'm just looking for, I think it's around the 13th. Jupiter, when do you go in? I'll look it up in the back. Hang on a second. Okay, it's October, around October 10th. No, I take it back, the 17th. So, yeah, but Jupiter will be in Aquarius and gets back into Aquarius on the 28th of July. And so when we have that full moon coming in August, Jupiter is still going to be at those end degrees of Aquarius. So right before the full moon, there will be a complete conjunction of the moon and Jupiter in Aquarius. So it's a really significant full moon in August as well. It means that we will complete a cycle kind of rapidly, which is Aquarian anyway. Aquarius is a very fast-moving energy. It's a very quick-thinking energy. It rules electricity on a large scale, such as the internet, electrical grids. So I do see this month probably going to be causing more upheaval in Texas, because their power grid is independent of the rest of the country, which of course, having planets trigger Aquarius energy is going to affect independent electrical powers. So the month, and of course now we're really in a hot cycle. We've got the sun just moving into Leo. So chances are Texas is going to experience even hotter temperatures, blowing out the power grid as everybody uses their air conditioning. So I look for more upheaval and discord coming to Texas because of that. Sun in Leo will dry out. Of course, Aquarian energy. The story that I'm talking about is the initiating of Aquarius with this full moon at early Aquarius, and the full moon cycle finishing off its time in Aquarius in August. So that's like a whole month of this learning about the Aquarian agenda and how it relates to home, how it relates to family and independence. We're going to see a lot of stories around family, independence, eccentricity. We started this out. I mean, it's interesting. Right, I think 2 days ago, Jeff Bezos went up into into space, and I didn't really pay attention to that one. I saw the Richard Branson experience a week ago, but I didn't really see the Bezos one, other than just a meme on Instagram. But that could be a storyline as well. But really, anything that comes into our environment on the full moon, which is Friday the 23rd, that will be a theme until August 22nd. I think I've been saying the 23rd. Yeah, it's the 22nd. The full moon is on August 22nd, the second one. So we're really going to see this as a tremendous influence for the next month. We're going to see, I think, a lot more people getting on board with the climate change issue. We're going to see, I just read today, and I didn't even know about it, about the spyware that apparently has been around since even 2007, 2006, called Pegasus. We'll see more information on that. Anything related to technology, related to mass power, thunderstorms, electrical storms, power grids going out, getting blown out, chemical fires with the sun in Leo, anything that relates to the archetype of either Leo or Aquarius. But if you have planets in Taurus or Scorpio, you will probably also be influenced. We've got Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, in Taurus. So it will bring a lot of these storylines down to earth into our tangible material world versus, say, just an idea of something. It's actually, we've seen chemicals in makeup that are forever chemicals. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned it. And now they say that the plastics, which I mentioned last week, they're in plastics, and that leaches into the water we have. So the chemicals in the physical world, in makeup, in water, in things we eat or digest. That's a big storyline. And then of course the Leo storyline, or the Taurus storyline, or the Scorpio storyline. So Taurus and Scorpio rule money, rule retail, business, joint finances, and money with marriage partners or money with partners in business. So all of those can have an influence. And again, the Taurus Scorpio axis relate to partners and couples and relationships, romantic relationships as well. So yes, it seems like a lot. It's only 4 signs and planets, but that's all part of the cross: Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, and Leo. So keep an eye out for all that. It's a really, really big month of all of those energies being up in the stories, up in news articles, and in the common awareness. But Aquarius is a detaching energy, and because it's a detaching energy, it's going to influence us to find a way to detach from the emotion, which I've mentioned before. Scorpios are extremely deeply committed to their emotions. They live in their emotions. They navigate the world in emotions. So it's going to be a real awakening to how to detach when we may not even feel emotions. I can tell you personally, because of my Scorpio rising and Moon Neptune conjunction in Scorpio, there is a certain amount of I can't find my way because I'm not feeling the path. And I think part of that is Saturn and Aquarius, but it will be more pointed as the moon goes into Aquarius, and we'll be more in our electrical intuition as opposed to our heart and emotional intuition. Not so much the water in our bodies, which may dry up, so to speak. I mean, it could literally, but I'm talking kind of more metaphorically. But yes, it could also be that we're more thirsty. So I would recommend drinking water, a lot more water. And that will also be highly likely a storyline of this next month into the future, as we really see a lot of those global warming issues come up. The water in the West, as I said a week ago, the water in the western half of the U.S., it's more of drought and dryness from the fire energy. And in the East, it's more the water, and it's been raining every day this week. And we are really, the water tables are very high here in Florida. And yesterday it was just absolutely pouring as I went to meet my daughter. So yeah, the eastern half is the water and the western half is the dry aridity. Okay, so yeah, we've got a lot of oppositions. There are a bit, let me see, I'm just trying to see if there is a finger of God with Mars that is exact to Pluto today. Mars is at 25 degrees, 37 minutes. He just went past the exact minute Pluto is at 26 minutes, but they're both at 25 degrees still. So definitely this inconjunct energy to Mars will be a story of upheaval for people who are Aries, Leo, potentially Capricorn, and Scorpio, which is Pluto ruled. So look for those signs to be affected by more aggression or anger or even subtext. Now remember, Cancer and Pluto are both, and I say Cancer because Cancer's opposite Pluto and Capricorn, but Pluto rules Scorpio, is very covert, has a tremendous defense of territory and privacy. So know that Pluto, anywhere he is, wants privacy. So in this case, in Capricorn, Pluto wants to keep the privacy of systems of government, systems of authority. And so, there's like this constant battle with governments to not be able to be transparent. That will change when Pluto gets to Aquarius, because the rallying cry of Aquarius with Pluto is going to be make it all known. Let's see all the hidden skeletons in the closet. So they will be coming out. And that's going to be, boy, that's probably a couple of shows, but I've been thinking a lot about it lately, and it's not that far off. It's only about a year and a half for the first foray of Pluto into Aquarius. So we're going to really see an increase in more society upheaval and speaking out against government. We saw it in Cuba. We've been seeing it. I think there's a bit in Iraq. We see it in, I think Brazil may have had some, Venezuela, just all over the world. Countries all over the world are really starting to feel the people rising up saying, we're not going to take this anymore. And I know China has some, they quell it because they have control over all the electronics, but it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And anyway, getting back to Aquarius, I wanted to just add here, we've got the Sabian symbols. I was looking it up, and the Sabian symbol for the full moon this month is Old Adobe Mission, nestles in California's Brown Hills. Mastery of man over environment while becoming an integral part of it, which is so Aquarian. You know, think about it, like we are the authority, which is the pinnacle of autonomy. And I know a lot of people like to use the word sovereign. I'm not very partial to sovereign because to me, in my mind, sovereign relates too much to monarchy and authority of a monarch. I like autonomy, which is the ability of self to express in their own nature upon the environment. They are self-fulfilled, which is the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So it's going to be really interesting. It says impressive recognition of established values, but even in the recognition, there is a need for that independence of the Aquarian energy. It says, when in its positive aspect, the degree is effective breadth of vision and a respect-compelling depth of character. And when in the negative aspect, it is a lack of ambition and blind adherence to superficialities. So I find that can be true with Aquarian energy, the Aquarian nature, that we also have this kind of blind need to be contrary. And sometimes it is not to our benefit to be a contrarian, that we just have this natural desire to show people their hypocrisy. And that's kind of a strong, compelling energy of an Aquarian nature, to just shine that mirror back on the person that we see as a hypocrite. And then, coming to the end degrees, so August, 29 degrees. I'll probably reiterate this when we're closer to that full moon, but I'll say it again here so you understand the transition. But metamorphosis completed, which is amazing, because yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. A butterfly spreads its wings. So this next month is really this amazing time we've been given this year before we really get into the strong Aquarian energy, to just get our feet wet and absorb some of the emotionalism or the detachment from that excess emotionalism that we have from this process of the moon double Aquarian full moons. And so it says, a butterfly spreads its wings, immortality of the real self, and graduation into the realm of being, confident projection of self, lack of self-confidence. So there's the dichotomy. When it's positive, the degree is uncompromising faith in promise of existence itself and in the wonders of a continuing creation. And in the negative, it can be utterly sluggish response to reality. Aquarius is a sign that is strongly connected to mental health. And I want to remind everybody, mental health is strongly linked, in my opinion, to emotional health. It is how we process the emotions that we get from interacting with our environment and with what we get back as a communication to where we're at with people and the events that occur in our lives. So if you think of Aquarius as kind of a mirror to reality, then you aren't as easily swayed by what comes your way. You can see that it reflects what you're putting out, because it is very karmic. And we're getting back the feedback that tells us kind of where we're navigating energetically through our life. So through our lives. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this all kind of plays out as really a human play. A lot of things coming in and a lot of interactions. You'll see the places in the world that are truly affected by this energy the most will be the ones that pop up with the storylines through the next month. Aquarian places in the world, probably Silicon Valley or places that have a stronger tech energy are going to be really influenced by this full moon. Yeah, eclectic, eccentric. It is the LGBTQ community. So there may be a rising up of that community saying, we are standing in unison to whatever attack may be coming in from the government. But it's going to be a really interesting time of upheaval. It is unusual things, unexpected behaviors or activities, things that we don't see coming, but of course, astrology helps us see that coming. Astrology itself is ruled by Aquarius. And so it's a really, really potent time coming up with electrical energy, intellectual energy, learning, growing, and really seeing how, as a collective, we can come together and find common ground and really see where we're weak in finding common ground. So I've said this many times, I really like Aquarian energy, but I also have not seen a tremendous amount of the negative side of this energy, other than, say, lightning storms, knocking out power grids, things like that, very negative, or even tornadoes, tornadic activity. I'm looking up at the window right now, seeing an approaching thunderstorm. So we will see that. The storms are going to get very strong over the next month. It's not going to surprise me. I live near a hurricane area, and the waters are going to heat up with the sun in Leo. It is no surprise that this is probably the peak time for hurricanes. I know my father's birthday is coming up in August, mid-August, and he has had a hurricane on his birthday, the 14th, and I've had a hurricane on my birthday, the 10th of September. A couple of years ago, it was on the 9th, right before my birthday, but we do get a lot of activity around those times. So I do expect to see that. And of course, as the sun squares Uranus, it's going to trigger this. So sun squaring Uranus happens on Sunday, and moon. And actually, maybe the sun will be there in a couple of weeks, because it takes a day for the sun to move through each degree. So, the full moon is going to be at 1 degree sun. So 14 degrees squaring Uranus will be the sun in 2 weeks, 14 days or 13 days after the full moon. So we'll see that happen the first week of August. And that's probably pretty close to the Lion's Gate of 8/8. Anyway, let's see. Is there anything else I want to say? Let's look at the rest of the week. I'm honestly getting close to being in the dark because of the coming storm. I know you can see me pretty well, but I can't really see any of you. Let me see what I've got here. I don't have my camera. There's my camera. Oh my, I'm so white. Oh, have mercy. That's okay. It's okay though. So let's look at the rest of the week. Sun went into Leo today on Thursday, and the full moon happens tomorrow in Aquarius on Friday. So it's going to be potentially a lighter energy. Moon in Aquarius can really bring us up into the air energy and not be so dug in deep like the last 2 days, feeling the moon in Capricorn. But also, we do have an earth sign, Venus in Virgo. So that's going to help to ground us a bit, I think, with this energy of Aquarius. It isn't in conjunct to Venus, so desires aren't necessarily going to be met, but I can tell you Aquarius is a more potent version of the Virgo Mercury ruler energy. So it's going to really give the Virgos a run for their money because Virgos like things predictable, and they analyze, but it will set off the intellect. It will probably put us into hyper mode. So, if you're a Virgo, know that you're probably going to be like me. I feel right now I've had a little bit of pink drink from Starbucks before. I was very caffeinated. So I'm really popping on all cylinders here, thinking. But yeah, that's going to really wake up Virgo, wake up Gemini, wake up Aquarius. So Friday, full moon, everything I just got done talking about, and it will continue throughout the month. I mean, know that this energy is going to be kind of an underlying lesson and theme for the month of July into August, until we have that final full moon in August 22nd. So Saturday, we've got a trine between Mercury and Neptune, Mercury being in Cancer. Very quiet, Neptune in Pisces. It's going to be a day to hunker down, pull in your energy, really heal your emotions, do some thinking. I know this coming week, my brother-in-law's birthday, my late brother-in-law, it's his first birthday since he passed, and I know I will be very much thinking about that and really sending positive energy to my sister to get through that day, because there are going to be multiple days when you have someone pass. You have their birthday, you have the holidays, you have your anniversary if you're married, and on the day they pass. There are a lot of days that you have to deal with throughout the year of revisiting the energy that's very emotionally charged. So I do want to say to anybody out there who is dealing with the death of a loved one, I'm very, very sorry that you had to go through that, especially if it's related to COVID. It is a terrible thing to have to cope with and deal with. So please do. I took my mask off last week. I'm putting it back on now. This variant has me a little concerned. I know that when you go out, and this is an aside, you don't have to listen to this. You can skip 2 minutes forward or a minute forward and not hear it if you want. But the energy, and this is a Virgo thing too, because again, Virgo is in opposition to where Mercury was when we really had that come out around the globe a year and a couple months ago. Virgo is the sign of health. She is now Virgo's the sign of health with Venus now in that sign, and Mars about to enter the sign. So Mars in Virgo is really going to increase a lot of the health energy, medical issues, and it is the opposition to COVID. So I think that there will be some territory gotten in positive aspect to this whole problem as Mars gets into Virgo, because it's like, no, now we're going to fight it, and we'll have stronger means to move forward with it, and there will be more passion to do something about it. So my guess is when Mars goes into Virgo, we're going to see more restrictions to what we do with masks again. Jupiter back into Aquarius, it's affecting the masses again, and that also aligns with where Mercury was at the beginning of this thing in 2020, because that going from Pisces into Aquarius is where retrograde Mercury transited when this whole thing blew up. And then Mars goes into Virgo the 29th on Thursday. And so that's going to be probably an increase of the restrictions for health reasons again. It does rule education, so there may be new guidelines for children in schools. I saw that in the news this week, that they're thinking about making underage children wear masks to school, because it is a quiet, kind of a quiet virus. The younger you are, the less you see the effects of it. And so those children, if they have it, because it's so highly contagious, the new variant, it can transmit quicker. And that means people who haven't been vaccinated, who are older, could get it quicker through the educational venues. I just personally, I took it off in public for a couple days, and I read up on it, and that was a CDC guideline, but I'm like, you know what, I just don't feel comfortable. And so I'm going to put it back on, and I did start wearing a mask again, even in anything in public indoors. And so I encourage you to do that. And of course, it's your choice, but you know, my history is not really good family-wise with, you know, having people who have been taken out from it. So just really use your best judgment and take care of yourself, whatever you do. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Happy birthday to my brother-in-law on Tuesday of next week. We have Mercury in conjunct to Jupiter in Pisces, Mercury in Leo. It's going to be a brash, hyperbolic communication, which means we make it more dramatic. We tell more stories. We want to be out there. We like the attention. We're going to use words to get attention. We're more creative. You know, I really like Leo for creativity. It is dramatic, but it is a good storyteller. It's a great gambler, and they're, you know, Leo energy. We're in Leo time and about to be Virgo as well, but mostly Leo right now with Mars, Sun, and that is a strong gambling energy. And so you're going to be more lucky also with gambling if you do some gambling at this time. I'm going to wrap this up because I'm starting to feel my eyes are bugging me a bit. But Mars opposite Jupiter at 11:50 a.m. on the 29th, Thursday of next week, is going to be a strong energy around challenges to your freedom, which Jupiter really loves, challenges to education, and kind of brazen behavior. It is, again, the ending of Mars in Leo, wanting to get those last activities out that are very Leonine, very in the spotlight, before kind of his energy gets taken away and Mars goes into Virgo to really expand teachers, education, military, health services, anything Virgoan. So yeah, we'll talk more about that next week, of course. And I really do appreciate you showing up and joining me for this time every week. If you enjoy this podcast or get something from it, please leave a comment, subscribe, share. The more it gets out there, the more people can be helped by the information. And I hope you enjoy it. And let me know if you do. It's on Apple iTunes. And so, you can leave a comment about it there. Thank you so much. And we'll see you again next week. Bye. Take care.
You have been listening to the Astro Energy Astrology Show. If you would like to get a private reading with Shelley, please contact her through angeliczodiac.com or at so@angeliczodiac.com. You can arrange a reading through the Angelic Zodiac page at facebook.com as well. Check out Angelic Zodiac on Instagram for up-to-date information on events, discounts, blogs and planetary transits at Angelic Zodiac 1 on Instagram. If you would like to see Shelley's art, shelleyoverton.com, or for astrology art, go to astroart.net. Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Other music will be credited within the show. Advice given in the program is intended for entertainment purposes only. Join us here next week for more of the Astro Energy Astrology Show podcast. You can find us on iTunes and Google Play, and where podcasts are accessed.